I have been, over the years, and especially lately, been counseling with married men and women who are just catching hell from one another, especially man from the woman. And I wonder, why do men and women get married? What's the purpose of getting married? So I started to ask just to find out what was their purpose of getting married. And some said, oh, I wanted a family. Some said, I wanted love. So I was like, why do these people get married and the marriage doesn't even last? Or if it does last, you catch a hell all through the marriage. And I realized after talking to a bunch of them and questioning them about why did you get married and all you're catching is hell, most of them, not all, admitted that the reason they got married was because they were lonely. They didn't want to be alone. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And I realized that anyone, because even what I noticed in talking to them, even after they got married because they really didn't want to be lonely, but Satan would tell them it's another reason. Oh, I want a family, I want this, I want that. But it's really because they didn't want to be lonely, alone. I realized from that, because they said that even after they got married, they were still lonely. And so I realized that they were trying to fulfill the ego, because anyone who is lonely is on it. It's not them, it's the ego that's feeling that. And because they have identified with the ego thinking that it's them, the ego deceives them and say, well, if you get married, you'll be fine. You won't be lonely anymore, even in the marriage. The marriage is not working, they're catching hell, and they're still lonely. Isn't that something? It's all ego. You must overcome that nature that's not you. It made a home in you, folks. But because we have all identified with it, no one said, you know what, that's not you. Growing up, they didn't say, especially we became mad, angry. They didn't say, that's not you, that's the ego in you, that's the devil's nature. And if you're lonely, you're worshiping the devil, but not you, thinking that it is you. Out of loneliness, and they get married and still lonely, because a marriage will not solve the ego issue. You must die from it. And the light of the Father will destroy the darkness. Some of you know this actor, Johnny Depp. Actor Johnny Depp has taken a stand in his defamation trial against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. And for those who might not be aware of this, or you've forgotten about it as I did, it's a recap. Johnny Depp and this woman, his ex-wife, Amber Heard, they got married in 2015. 15 months later, Heard filed for divorce. A judge issued a restraining order. Images of Heard's alleged injuries at the hand of Depp came out. But listen to this, LAPD found no evidence of a crime. Depp and Heard reached a $7 million divorce settlement. He gave this woman $7 million. The Washington Post published an op-ed by Heard urging support for women who suffer domestic violence. Despite not being named in the article, Depp filed a $50 million defamation suit, saying it implied that he was an abuser and got him fired from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. What a mess, right? Lonely. So during his trial, Depp was asked about his life growing up. He revealed what he went through at the hands of an abusive mother.
Now, Mr. Depp, I'd like to turn a bit to your upbringing.
My mother was quite unpredictable. She was very unpredictable. She had the ability to be as cruel as anyone can be. She could become quite violent, and she was quite violent, which could be in the form of an ashtray being flung at you, it hits you in the head, or...
Mr. Depp, you mentioned that your mother could be cruel. How could she be cruel?
We were all somewhat shell-shocked, even if she just walked past us, you'd sort of shield yourself because you didn't know what was going to happen. There's quite a lot of name-calling and making fun of whatever defect, one might have. If my brother wore glasses, so of course he was four eyes. we had to take it. I mean, you just had to take the pain. I had a lazy eye, a wandering eye, and she would call me cockeye, one eye.
Amazing, right? So if it's true about this man's wife, he ended up marrying his mama. The spirit that he hated the most, you become attracted to what you hate. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's not physical. But if you have anger, you'll think and believe by the darkness that it is physical, and it's not. And once you're born of the physical, of the spirit of the Father, all those ideas about why you should marry, when you're lonely, you're this, they start to disappear as the ego starts to die. All the stuff in the body, it will clear up because the light will clear it up. The light is the healing. So stop judging yourself, stop having an opinion, just observe. And so here's where Johnny Depp was asked about his father.
What about your father? What was he like?
My father was a very kind man. In fact, my father's still alive. Very quiet man. In fact, he's very shy, not a confrontational person in any way. And when Betty Sue, my mother, would go off, he amazingly remained very, very stoic. He stood there and just looked at her while she delivered the pain, and he swallowed it. He took it. Never a moment when my father lost control and attacked my mother or hit my mother or even said a bad thing to my mother. I could see his eyes welling up as he was staring at her, saying nothing. And then the most that he would do is he would punch a wall. I've seen my father strike a wall 2 or 3 times tops. To me, as a 5-year-old boy, I kept thinking to myself, I kept wondering why does he take it? How does he take this? And why doesn't he leave her? And my father would arrive home from work, and the first thing she would say was, "John, take him out there. He gets the belt. Give him the belt." I kept telling him I didn't do this. I kept swearing to him that I did not do what Betty Sue, what my mom had said. He went through with the punishment anyway. Not long after, he found out that I had been telling the truth, and he came to me and apologized to me. My mom never did that. She couldn't.
How did your parents' relationship ultimately come to an end, to your understanding?
He left for work one morning, just like every day. And then hours later, my mom, Betty Sue, came home from work. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon. And she walked in the door and stopped and just looked around like she felt something. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Your daddy's gone." I said, "Well, yeah, I seen him leave for work this morning." She said, No, he's gone. And she ran into their bedroom and into their closet, and I followed her, and there was his rack of clothing and all his belongings were gone. And I took her car and drove to my father's work, and I sat down in front of him at 15, and I said, "Listen, seems as though somebody stole all your clothes out of the closet." And he said, yeah. He said, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I can't live it anymore. You're the man now." Those words didn't quite sit well with me. I didn't feel like I was ready to hear those words. Then my mom went into a very, very dark place, a very deep, dark depression, as you can imagine. One afternoon, I woke up and walked out into the living room, and I saw my mother, it was like a slow motion crawl. As I was about to run and call, the front door busted open, and my uncle and two paramedics came in and whisked her out of the house to get her to the hospital to pump her stomach. She had swallowed a multitude of pills. When she got out of the hospital, she was down to like weight about 70 pounds. I thought that was in my head at the time, I thought that was a cowardly way for my father to have left. And I was deeply upset by that.
Amazing. Same story, different incidents, but the same story for every human being. Not one that doesn't go through that hell, and if you don't overcome it, you live hell on earth. And then you die in hell, you're stuck. He stood there and watched, according to Depp, the mother be mean and cruel to him, but the father was beta. He couldn't deal with the woman because that was his mother. He didn't protect his son from the mother because he couldn't handle the mother. It's the same thing across the board. Every race, every color, every language, every rich or poor, every middle class or whatever you call yourself, right? It's the same spirit with every human being until you're born of the Father. Fathers don't protect their children from the mothers, and then the mothers go out and pretend it was the father who was, oh, your daddy was mean, your dad was alcoholic, your dad was this. She doesn't tell you about the hell that she put him through and you. She doesn't say, your father left because I was hell to deal with, just like his mother. But men, you can overcome that. You can be born of the Father by forgiving your father for not protecting you from the mother. He couldn't help it. And the mother couldn't help herself because she had no love. She only had hell. Men, you were created to be of God's love. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. The women and children need the love that comes through you. You don't need the hell that comes through her. That's amazing. And you can look at this man's wife if you watch any of the court stuff. You see hell in her. I don't know what happened in their situation, but you see the eyes of the devil in this woman. The light is the answer. It erases all what you call trouble. It has all the answers. It has everything you think you're looking for. It will get rid of depression, suicidal thoughts, drug use, or whatever the issue is that you're into as a result of being turned away from the Father. It's not you. It's not who you are. It's the spirit that made a home in you. Even Paul mentioned it in the Bible, for the Bible thumpers. The things I want to do, I can't. The things I do not want to do, I do. I realize it's not me, it's the spirit in me that made a home in me. I can't do it on myself, so he stopped. You got to let go. You cannot defeat the darkness. The light will, though, and the world is out of control because the world starts with you. You're out of control. And we all are in a fallen state. But when that heart change, you become a love, the light will come on, and you will see your way. And then you start to grow in wisdom. With time, be patient, and you'll grow, and you'll be blown away, especially when, as you're growing in the light, you're dying from the darkness, and you realize, I never was the thoughts. I never was the emotions. It was an illusion. I thought it was me. It was never you. It was never, ever, ever you. Whenever you talk to yourself about, oh, I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes, I'm going to stop drinking, it's not you saying that. That's the devil. Amazing video about the mother and the father. It's in everybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have, or white or black, or whatever color you might be. It's the same spirit. Christ said, we must be born of the heart. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the JLP Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.